Now let me tell a little story about all these deadbeat fathers. Just tell the truth, you live in proof, so why do you bother? Man, all you had in your mind was just some sex and affection. Should've thought a few more seconds about the effects of erection. Just picture your kids with no dad and being alone in the park. Do you know how it feels to be alone in the dark? You wasn't there to teach them how to play basketball. You damn sure wasn't taking them to the beach in the mall. You didn't stick around on their first days to see their birth. You don't even know their birthdays. For what it's worth, the baby mother find another man. Now you start to trip, claiming you don't want her, but look how upset you get. I guess you want what you had, cause you know you can't have it. Raising kids without a dad is a bad habit. So she down on her knees every day and night. Don't worry about a thing, stepdaddy gon' raise her right. It takes a hell of a man to raise a child that isn't his. It takes a hell of a man to raise somebody else's kids. It's gon' come a time in life when you gon' realize. Don't be surprised when your child got stepdaddy's eyes. Now stepdaddy's in the picture and everything is fine. You just a bit of statistic, nigga, about to lose your mind. He treats them all like if they were his sons and daughters. Everywhere they go, he's recognized as their father. If they passed you on the streets, they wouldn't even know you. Learn how to read and speak and they can't even show you. I know it hurts, but you gon' really have to move on. How the hell you thought it felt when it found out that you was gone? You changed so many lives with just your selfish decisions. You wanna look into their eyes and tell them that you miss them. You the type of nigga that make all men look bad. Cause you got a new pair of shoes, your son ain't got a book bag. You telling people you gon' change, but when will this be? When a man can raise a kid that isn't his, that's real to me. And I feel like he was put in that position for a reason. But it's too late, you see his face every time you see him. It takes a hell of a man to raise a child that isn't his. It takes a hell of a man to raise somebody else's kids. It's gon' come a time in life when you gon' realize. Don't be surprised when your child got stepdaddy's eyes. I wonder how these daddies feel, leaving the kids all alone. I wonder how the kids feel when daddy ain't coming home. I wonder how the mothers feel when she sees what's going on. I wonder how stepdaddy feels when he gotta fix a broken home. They starting to look like stepdaddy each and every day, because they starting to be like him in each and every way. When you look into their eyes, you can see his eyes. And every time you see him smile, you can see his smile. He came into a broken home and brought everyone together. It's like there was a storm and it simply just changed the weather. It's amazing how a father figure can change your life. Make up your mind, take your time, and just raise them right. It's more to being a daddy, nigga, than just having sex. It ain't very hard to figure what's gonna happen next. It's time to take responsibility for your actions. It's time to face reality and receive some satisfaction. It takes a hell of a man to raise a child that isn't his. It takes a hell of a man to raise somebody else's kids. It's gon' come a time in life when you gon' realize. Don't be surprised when your child got stepdaddy's eyes.
What's up, Straight Talk Society? This is your boy Trevor, and I am back with another episode of Straight Talk Sessions. Real quick, let me know if you can hear me. Peace to Twin and Tequila in the chat, and the other people that are watching in the clouds. Just let me know real quick if you can hear me. Okay. All right. So you guys see the title. This show here is this show is going to be one. So let me get this out of the way first. Tomorrow at 8 p.m. we will be debuting Wrestling with Reality. That is the show that me and Venkat have been wanting to do for a long time. And due to recent, let's just say due to recent breakups, we now will be doing the show that we've been wanting to do for a long time. So tomorrow night at 8, Venkat will be joining me, including Bones and maybe some other panel members, as we will be reviewing the WrestleMania show that will be coming up this weekend. WrestleMania 39 is a 2-day event starting Saturday night and Sunday night. So I'll be very busy this weekend. And also Sunday night is the debut show of what I think will probably be the best show over here on the Straight Talk Society, Pour Your Heart Out. That is the all women's panel. They are taking over the Straight Talk Society, and it's going down. And Twin, that song, once I learn how to link all this stuff in the chat, I'll link you. That's Venkat's brother, the Silent Assassin. Yeah, he does all the music for my show. Anytime you hear me play music on the show, it's all his. So the family let me get his catalog. So I got a whole laundry list of songs. Wait until the one that you hear me play tomorrow, man. I don't know how I never heard that song, man, but I was doing a podcast and I played that song and I was like, holy crap, man, this is a banger. And yeah, that song is awesome, man. He's an awesome artist, gone way too soon. But I promise his family that we're gonna his legacy is gonna live on. And if I could help, push the music through any platform I'm on, then that's definitely what I'll do. So you guys saw the thumbnail, the thumbnail for the show. And that's a picture of me looking into my daughter's eyes when she was in the NICU. And that's what the show is going to be about tonight. Last year, around this time, I made a podcast called 77 Days. And my plan was to re-release that show so everybody could hear it again. But I was like, you know what? I'm going live on YouTube now. Let me just do it all over again. And so what I'm going to do, that podcast was over 2 hours long. And I mean, it went from the beginning. It went to every single step in what was the most traumatic time in our life. But I'm not going to do that whole thing, obviously tonight, but, every time around my daughter's birthday, we always just think about, what could have been and how things turned out for the better. And so that's kind of what I want to talk about tonight, because I was shocked when I was talking to some of my friends and they were like, whoa, your daughter was a preemie? And I'm like, yeah. And they were like, damn, we went through the same thing. But what stuck with me is when they said, I wish I had another man to talk to while this was going on. Saying a lot of times what happens, and I was with my wife every single step of the way. I never missed a doctor's appointment. I was there every single step of the way. Like, I feel like at times I felt like I was the one carrying the baby. So, but a lot of times men suffer in silence. So things will be going on and we'll just be crying on the inside because we don't want to show weakness to our wife as she's dealing with this traumatic instance in life. So tonight, I just want to kind of give you just a short, the short version of 77 Days, my crash course into fatherhood. Because I was shocked, like I said, the amount of men that I talked to, and they were like, damn, one of my kids was a preemie. And at the time it was going on, I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to say to my wife. I didn't know what to say. And I didn't have anybody to talk to because, you can't it's hard to talk to women about stuff like that because you don't know where to come from without coming off mean. So my daughter just turned 8. So here it is. me and my wife, after we got married, we'd been trying to have a kid. And somebody say, man, why you giving all this? Because this is what it is on the Straight Talk Society. Like I say, I've disassociated myself with other people. This is me. This is how I am. This is what you get. Over on my side, it's a safe space. You know, we bring it over here. And this is about healing and no made up foolishness over on this side. So, you know, my wife and I, we'd been wanting to have a kid for a long time, even before we got married. But it would just never happen. It just, I don't know what was going on. It just never happened. You know, and you know, the thing too, when I say that people need to talk, the problem with black men and black women is that we don't communicate with one another, because the whole time I'm sitting there thinking like, damn, am I shooting blanks? You know what I'm saying? Like what's going on? Is you know, am I the reason why we can't have kids? And I'm pretty sure she was thinking in her mind, like, damn, I'm sure that, am I the reason why I can't have the kids? But we never talked about it. So, you know, my brother's cancer had came back, and we went to Atlanta to go see him. And what's up, Deacon? What's up, twin? So we went to Atlanta to go see him, and you know, I noticed my wife had been acting kind of funny, but I never thought anything of it. You know, it was just like, you know, whatever. And you know, she didn't want to say anything to me. I didn't want to say anything, because it's like we had built our hopes up so much. And if you guys see me cut my camera off, it's probably because I'm going to cry. I'm gonna just keep it real with you. That's just how it is with me when it comes to talking about this. Because two things: I always wanted to be a husband. I always wanted to be a father. I always wanted to be a father to a little girl. Partly because I felt like I did so much bad shit in life that I wanted somebody that I could now show all the good things to, and show her like, I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, hey, what's going on, Commissioner? And it's just like, so I wanted a child so bad. My wife wanted a child so bad, but it just wasn't happening. And you know, with we all grown-ups. With every period, I became more depressed. Every cycle, I guess, whatever you women call it. With every cycle, I became more depressed. If it was late a couple of days, on the inside, I was getting happy, but I didn't want to say anything because I didn't want to be disappointed again. So we're coming back from Atlanta, and she was like, you know what, just run me by the drugstore, and we'll let's get a pregnancy test. And I'm like, man, I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like in my mind, I'm like, I don't want to do it, because I'm tired of being disappointed. At this time, I'm beating myself up like maybe I'm the reason why I can't get my wife pregnant, and because it wasn't for lack of trying, I tell you that. So she probably listens. She probably pulling on her dreads right now, like, God damn it, this guy. But so we get the pregnancy test, and we had just got back from a long trip from Atlanta, man, and it was just like, and I'm just thinking in my mind, like, don't even do it, man. I don't want to be disappointed again. You know, because here I am in this relationship. I took 13 months off of relationships to work on myself. Here I am. I finally get the woman of my dreams. We work. We connect as a unit. We move as a unit. But the one thing that we both want, we just not getting. 1 year turned into 2. You know what I'm saying? And we have been trying, like I said, before we got married. Yeah, it was fornicate. Yeah, whatever. So, you know, so I'm downstairs bringing the bags up. At the time we were living in our apartment, so we were living on the 3rd floor. We're living on the 3rd floor. And I tell you, no lie, right out of like the scene out of a Tyler Perry movie. I walk into the door with the 2 bags in my hand, and she's just standing there crying and trembling. And I'm looking at her like, what the fuck is going on? Like, what's going on? What's going on? And she just like her hands just trembling, and she got this thing in her hand, and she like, we're having a baby, we're having a baby. And I just dropped the bags, and I'm like, oh shit, I can't believe this is finally happening. And now it starts. I go straight into protection mode, straight into daddy mode. I start clearing out space for the baby. We start buying the crib. We didn't even know, we haven't even had it confirmed yet. But we start projecting and making space, because here it again, I'm making space for what I always wanted. And now she's telling me we're having a baby. And I'm over the moon. I went and made a Facebook video, a YouTube video back in 2014-ish, announcing it. But I made the video, but I didn't release it until after the first trimester, because the whole it's bad luck type thing and blah, 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 blah. If you listen to the podcast, I actually played that video in the beginning of the show. That podcast is entitled 77 Days, and it was like on this day last year. So fast forward, everything that could go wrong was going wrong. She had like the most uncomfortable pregnancy like ever. You know what I mean? So it's like never felt good. I mean, I don't even think if she's, I know she's probably listening, but she's doing something with my daughter right now, but she'll come on if she can, but nothing went right. Shitty doctor who never really checked anything. And like I said, I was at every single appointment. I was there taking notes. I was doing this, I'm doing that. I remember we went to an appointment one time where they were supposed to check. It wasn't for the gender, but they were just doing it. It was like an ultrasound. And the technician is there. She's just looking. She can't find the baby. And again, that doubt sets in, and I'm just like, holy shit, man. I'm like, man, how come every time like I get this close and then you just snatch it away? But again, that's why I talk about that communication. That's why I say there is no gender wars. Gender wars don't exist. We just don't know how to communicate with one another. So I'm looking at my straight stoic face. She's looking in her straight face, trying to hold back tears, because here we are thinking, man, that baby that we thought was in there might not be in there. So a whole bunch of stuff happened, and eventually they did another way of checking, and they found the baby. But like I say, everything started going. I mean, like everything was going bad. She never felt good. Her doctor was shit. And so fast forward to the time where she started feeling halfway decent. It was around her birthday, and we were going to go on a road trip that day. I took her out for dinner that night on her birthday. And the next day we were going on a road trip to go see her best friend. And I left work early so we could get on the road early, because it was going to be like a 4-hour drive. And I get home and she's just like balled up on the floor. I'm like, oh man, what's going on? She's like, no, I'm good. We could go. I'm like, no, are you crazy? Because if we get on the road and something happens, I'm out in the middle of nowhere. At least here, I know where I am. So we go out there, and she's just in so much pain. So I'm like, you know what? Screw the trip. We're not doing the trip. You're going to the hospital. And she just, so this is where I told you I'm gonna have to turn my camera off. So we get to the hospital, and she's just like, they tell me, they're like, we're gonna we'll come back and get you when it's time to come in. And granted, me and my wife had never been apart. Since we've been together, we always been like this. So here you have her in the hospital now. I'm in a room by myself, alone with my thoughts, not knowing what's going on. And it's one thing, man, to be in there with your thoughts, man. Brother, when you there with your thoughts, man, and you already preparing for the bad shit to happen, and you just sitting there, and the bad shit everything is presenting itself to you now as being bad. And so she's just screaming, and the doctors, they have me somewhere else, and I'm out in the back. I'm just like, I don't know what's going on. And The first person I could think to call. I didn't even you would think that in a situation like this, I would call my dad or I would call my mom, but I called my former pastor, man. God bless his, God rest his soul. But I called him and I'm like, I said, man, I'm so scared. I don't know what to do. Like I've been the guy, I used to be a preacher. Y'all know that, 25 years. And I'm like, man, I pray for people with life-threatening illnesses. I've done this and I've done that. But now the problem is in my house. I don't know what the hell to do. And he just was, because he wasn't there. Because had he been there, he would have came back. But he was on a road trip. So he told me, he was like, listen, he said, I train you for this. And you know what to do. Like, you gotta be the man. You know what I'm saying? So you basically have to be the man for your family. And he said, I'll call you when we get in and everything like that. So the nurses came in and they were like, well, we're going to prep you and everything. And they said, we're going to prep you to go in to see the baby. I'm like, what? I said, see what? I said, my baby isn't due for 3 months. Like, what? Like, what are we doing here? What are you talking about prepping me to go see the baby? And they're like, nah. They're like, it's coming now. So now I'm like crazy, man, because up until that point, I had always heard about this premature thing. I didn't know what a preemie was. I always thought that a preemie just meant like it was a little kid. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes you see these babies and they so little and they'd always be like, oh, those are preemies. I'm like, okay, I didn't know what a preemie was. But now I'm about to have a preemie. My baby's not due until the summer. And here it is, the end of spring. And not for nothing, the day after my wife's birthday. And I'm just like, man. So by this time, I'm panicking. Like, I'm panicking, but I got to stay strong. I can't let her see me. Because I hadn't seen her. She was under, they had her all under anesthesia and stuff. She was drugged up, so I hadn't seen her yet. And so now I got to brace myself. I go in there looking to see this baby. Cause again, I don't know what this premature thing is. Yeah, Tequila, my daughter was born at 26 weeks. And so I don't know what this premature thing is. And I go in the room and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna see. I don't know what the hell I'm supposed to see because the baby's supposed to be born 3 months from now. So I didn't even know the baby was developed. I didn't know what to expect because again, this is all new to me. I go in and I see my baby that I've been preparing for a lifetime in a bag. They got her in a bag. They got her with tubes running all through her. And I'm, like they had her covered up to here. So all I could see was her eyes. And she probably was like no bigger than like this right now. And I'm like, okay, what am I supposed to do here? Like, what's going on? And the doctors are like, we're going to have to move her because we're not at the level that she is. She needs to go to a higher facility. And it's just like, and then, so now the doctors, God bless them, man, but they got to do their job. They're shoving all type of papers in my face. I don't know how my wife's doing. I don't know what this is in front of me in the bag because you could still look like a little alien. Like you can't even really tell. And so I'm just like, they're shoving papers in my face and like, oh, we need your consent for a transfusion. We need your consent to run a PICC line. We need your consent to do this. We need to do that. We need to get the transfer done right away. We need to do da. And I'm just sitting there like, damn, is anybody gonna ask me how I'm doing? I'm just sitting there like, I'm like, man, is like, is anybody anybody care? Anybody? Hello? Anybody care about Trevor? And so, they do the transfer. We go, my wife stayed at the hospital that she was at. And so they transferred my daughter to another hospital. And they were like, listen, there's nothing you could do. Just go home. We'll call you. And so now I'm home. My wife is in one hospital. My newborn baby is in another hospital. And again, I'm all alone. And the Bible will tell you it's not good that man should be alone, because I'm all alone with my thoughts now. Because you know what happens. The first thing you always think, like, damn, what did I do? I'm like, damn, all the women that I messed over growing up when I was a kid. I'm having this conversation with the Most High, and I'm like, you wouldn't do this to me. Like, I was a kid then. I didn't know any better. You wouldn't do this to me. My wife's in one hospital. My daughter's in another hospital. I'm here all alone. Nobody to talk to. Nobody that I think could understand. Because again, men don't talk about stuff like this. It's not until I start talking about it that I start hearing men come forward with their stories. Like, bro, I wish I would have had somebody to talk to while I was going through this. That's why I'm doing this now, is because I want to get the awareness out that the women, they deal with it physically, they deal with it mentally, but those men deal with it too. So I just want to let the brothers know that, if we need to start a support group or something, because it still haunts me every now and then. When I look at my daughter, it still haunts me. Like, what could have been? So, I go in the NICU, I see my daughter, they have her in the incubator and everything like that. And just to tell you how underdeveloped she was, you could still see through her skin. Her skin was still translucent. So you could see the veins. Her head wasn't even formed. Like, you know what I'm saying? She just didn't look, she just looked like a little, she wasn't completely done. Her legs were bruised really bad because she was breached and they had to pull her out. And it was no good, like just no good. Very small, 2 pounds, 6 ounces. And I got all these nurses and doctors speaking a whole bunch of foreign language to me, telling me, oh, we're going to do everything we can. And, bro, Deacon and Twin, I feel you, man. I'm trying my hardest not to, man, just so I can get through this, man. This shit was hard, man. Like, nobody ever, I mean, they just don't know. They just don't know. And so, my daughter's all messed up, and I go to the hospital to go see my wife. Now, here's something. People ask me this question all the time, and I'm hoping when I say this now, you guys will understand. My daughter was born a day after my wife's birthday. That happened to be WrestleMania weekend, which WrestleMania is this weekend. I'm in the hospital with my wife. She can clearly look at me and see that I'm a wreck. I'm all messed up. And she told me in the hospital, she said, listen, there's nothing you could do. You got to go home and get some rest. She was like, you have to go home and get some rest. Just try to clear your mind. Just go do something, to try to clear your mind, because we need you to be there for us. I went home that night. I had totally forgot, but it was WrestleMania on. And they put on one of the best WrestleMania shows that I've ever watched. And I watched them all. And I'm going to watch the one this Sunday. So when people ask me, hey, why are you a 40-plus-year-old man still watching wrestling? because at my hardest time in my life, wrestling took me away for about 4 hours and eased the pain just a little bit. Just a little bit. So I feel like, and now the bond that me and my daughter have over wrestling, that's why I love wrestling so much. Because when I was hurting, crying, and I had nobody to talk to. I had the TV to watch. I watched wrestling, and they were there entertaining me for those couple of hours. And it made me feel good. It made me take my mind off of things. So that's why I love wrestling so much. Because there was a time I stopped. But I just feel like they were there for me, and without even knowing it. They were there for me in my toughest moment. So, so my wife, she finally gets released from the hospital, and now we both go to the NICU. My daughter was in the NICU for 77 days. I didn't go one day. So I went 76 days, and my wife went every single day, a lot of times twice a day. For 77 days, sometimes pulling 2 a days. We went to the hospital. I would call the hospital every morning. My wife would call the hospital every night to get an update on my daughter. We track every single thing. Like everything they said, any improvements and a lot of it, you ever been to the NICU, is a scary place, man. I'd rather be a lot more different places than being in the NICU, I tell you, because with all those buzzers going off and you seeing all these little babies and you see all these crying parents and nobody knows what to say to anybody because most of us are new and never been in this situation. And the doctors are just pumping a whole bunch of stuff in our ear that we don't have any idea what they're talking about. But so we're going through this NICU journey, and the whole time, what's starting to happen? See, because I'm one thing about me, man. I'm transparent to a fault. Because people will say, "Oh man, why do you bare soul so much?" Because this shit is therapy for me. My wife can write. My wife is going to go on and write books after books after book. This is what I do. I run my mouth. That's what I do. So this type of stuff is therapy for me. They've been telling me for the longest, hey, write this down. Write this 77-day journey down. I probably never will do it unless somebody will do it for me. But this is my therapy. This is how I get it done. And so it's like, so one thing was happening as we're going to the hospital every single day, putting on this strong, united front. Guess what's now happening to the favorite couple? We're starting to grow apart. Because we were never prepared. We were prepared. You do your wedding vows and they say, for richer or for poorer and stuff like that. We've had some lean years and things like that. We were prepared for all that. But we were never prepared for having a child in this situation because we thought that when we had our first child, it was going to be, the great pictures, and we're going to have the extravagant baby shower and all the birthdays, and it was just going to be love, 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 love. Nobody told us that we were going to spend damn near 3 months in the hospital. And we're just growing apart, and my wife, again, she'll tell you, I don't curse at my wife. I do not. I don't. One thing I always say, I don't get in arguments with women, but I definitely don't curse at my wife. But I find myself like yelling at her a lot and just getting any little thing would just tick me off, like any little thing. Oh yeah, and by the way, I was still a preacher at this time. So that whole when they say, give it all in the hands of God and everything like that, that sounds good. But when you really living it and you really, really have to trust, it's just not as hard. It's not as easy as people like to make it seem. Like, because we didn't know that everything was going to be all right. We didn't know things were going to turn out as good as they were. Like my daughter, they told my daughter they were like, they did the eye exams to her. So this is where all the bad news started happening. So they were like, she because she was born so early, her blood vessels didn't form all the way, like to connect the eyeballs the correct way. So there's a strong possibility that she's probably going to be, has some type of blindness, but we'll check it out and, we'll do this and we'll do that. And I was just like, shit. And the whole time we not like, we looking at each other, but we not like communicating it, like both of us, because two hurting people, man, I don't know how to. That's why I was say, man, counseling. I was a man that shit on counseling for years, but I'm telling you, man, I think counseling is one of the most underrated tools that we have, and a lot of times we run to the church because it's free counseling versus going to go see a licensed professional person. But I don't shun that counseling anymore, man. And so, my daughter, they were like, so all the bad news just started coming in. They said, she had a heart murmur and all type of stuff. They told her she had a so basically in layman's terms, they said half of her brain was missing, is what they told us. So, what now comes to that? Now you have to think like, man, I'm going to have a mentally retarded kid, because that's what they told us, that there's probably going to be some mental retardation. That's what they told us. So we're going through all that, and we're just like, and the whole time I'm just, I'm just beside myself, man. I got like, I'm 265 pounds, but you could never tell. But my 260 back then was like a bad 260. It was like an out of shape, sloppy 260. It wasn't like the 260 that I am now, because I just was eating like shit. We both were letting ourselves go. It was just, if you see some of the pictures, you see I didn't have this nice, glorious beard. I had a terrible beard back then. But, it was just, like we had completely just fallen apart, man. We went from this couple that was just like this, even in the face of adversity. That's what I'm saying. So it wasn't that it was the adversity, because we had dealt with adversity before, but it's when it's adversity that comes so close to your front door like this, when it comes into your home. It's like that adversity that you can't shake, because if you're getting the issue financially, there are certain ways you can get out of that. But you're getting the issue with your child. If you're a good parent, you're stuck with that issue. You got to deal with that issue. But in the whole time that we were dealing with that issue, we weren't dealing with one another. And it was just like, we were just drifting apart. I never forget. I remember we got in the argument for the stupidest shit, man. It was one Saturday morning, and it was over breakfast. I wanted something else and she didn't want it. And, and I just blasted off on her like, man, you don't want what I want, blah, blah. But I had to realize, I'm like, man, I'm not yelling at her. Like, I'm yelling at the situation, man. I'm yelling because I'm hurting. Like I'm hurting bad, like really, really bad. There was times where, I wanted it to be over. And I'm not talking about like my daughter getting out of that situation. Like I wanted it to be over. I didn't want to be here anymore. Like as far as existing, because the pain was too much. You go from having a regular routine every day, you go to work, you come home, and now you're, now you got to go to the hospital every single day, and you don't want to go to the hospital every day. The hospital isn't a fun place. It's nothing but sick people there. Nobody ever said, hey, let's go to the hospital just because we want to go have a picnic. You go to the hospital because something is wrong there. And you're going there every single day, and you're starting to take on the personality of the hospital. it got to a point where like going to work for me was like a therapy session, man, because that's the only time where I felt like I could just be away from everything, and I could wrap my mind and work so much that I didn't have to think about anything until it was time to make that phone call to the hospital to get an update on my daughter, and only hoping in the back of my mind, like, damn, can you please tell me some good news now? Tell me something good. Yeah, Deacon. Deacon, I always say this. I play a character. I play a character really good. The Mr. Straight Talk character is is very good. I'll get back to it at some point, but this is me right now. This is who I am, just stripped down. And I started to realize that my biggest problem was, and I want men to listen to this real good, you can't always be their Superman. Here we have a problem. Anything ever happened to my wife, I'm always able to fix it. Car breaks down, anything, like, because we're men, we're macho men. Anything, hey, let's take care of it. Let's get it fixed. So anything happens to my wife, I could always fix it. But now here's a problem that I just can't fix. I'm watching my daughter in the incubator, and it's just like, step by step. And, we're asking them, hey, what's the possibility of her coming home? And they're like, you guys are a long way from that, because she wasn't returned. She wasn't eating well and things like that. And, it wasn't until she started getting that breast milk in her that it really started making the turn. And it was just, man, it became so unbearable, man, to a point where I really close that door. I really started to think to myself, and it is very selfish. It's very selfish. That's why I always push you guys back to the podcast and go back and listen to this episode that I did entitled Come Out of Your Cave. It's very selfish of us men sometimes, but we hurt so much in silence that we go into these caves and we never come out. And so what I did, I ended up going into a cave and didn't care to come out. I didn't want to come out anymore. I was like, I don't want to deal with this. Just leave me alone. Just leave me alone and let me sit in here and die. And that's how I felt, because the pressure of the world had gotten too much, man. It's just so overwhelming, because I'm sitting here and I'm looking like, well, my daughter didn't do anything. My wife didn't do anything. So now, God, why are you punishing me? Are you punishing me because I question your existence sometimes? Are you punishing me because I tell people to look beyond the book? Like, why are you punishing me through them? And I'm like, do it to me. Like, this is a conversation that I'm having inside the cave. I'm like, do it to me. Why you got to take it out on them? And it's just, you ever know? Yeah. And I know everybody doesn't believe in this and that. We all have our concepts and ideas of what God is. But there's always just certain things that I just feel like a peace. I just feel like a peace that comes over me. So the days started progressing, and, I will say I still hated the trips, but they started getting better because I saw my daughter progressively getting better. So we started to see the light at the end of the tunnel, but then guess what happens? Something happened. Who knows what happened? She just had a complete relapse where they had to bag her. They had to do all type of thing. It was crazy. And I'm just like, damn. But life always has a point. Life always has a way of showing you that as bad as you think shit is for you, somebody else is always worse. There was another lady that was in there, and her son had been in there, I think at the time, for like 143 days. And he had probably 10 surgeries at the time. I wish we knew where this young lady was to see how that ever turned out. I have a friend that, her daughter was born in like 22 weeks, and she had to deal, the amount of surgeries and this and that. So it's like life always has a way to show you, like, man, you think this is bad? Just look over there. It could be worse. And so I'm a fast forward. You want to hear the full breakdown of this. I forget the episode number, but it's called Come Out of Your, not Come Out of Your. It's called I'm drawing a blank. It's called 77 Days. It was done last year, so you just have to go back to the earlier episodes, but it's entitled 77 Days. I think it's on YouTube also in my Straight Talk with Trevor playlist. But so one day we went to the hospital. Now you remember now, my daughter's still feeding tube. Then they ended up putting it in her nose. They eventually took her out of the incubator and put her in her crib because she was able to hold her body temperature at to a certain degree. So we went to the NICU one night, and I'm just looking at her. Now you got to remember, I've never seen her. Like, I've never seen my daughter before. I've been going to the hospital all these days. I've never seen my daughter's face before, because without the obstruction of something, because it's always had something on it. And I'm just looking, and it doesn't hit you at the time. And I'm looking at her, and I'm like, damn, something just looks weird. Something's different. And then it dawned on me, I was like, oh shit, I can see her face. They took the feeding tube out. She was able to take bottles and everything. So now I actually get to see her face now. And now I'm really getting excited, man, because I'm like, oh crap. I may finally be seeing this light at the end of the tunnel. And then I called one morning I did my routine call. Well, let me back up real quick. Before that happened, I'm going to show you how things work. I'll show you how the universe works, how the Most High works. This is, I believe in the Most High. So one night, me and my wife, we were bickering again, coming from the hospital. And we didn't live now we live close to the hospital. At that time, we lived far from the hospital. So that adds to it too. So now you got to take this long journey every night, not talking to this person. You know what I mean? Oh, thank you. She put it in she put the episode in the chat. Appreciate that. So you're driving on the road and you're not talking to this person. So at the time I was listening to my favorite preacher of all time, G. Patterson. And he's just preaching, sometimes, man, they just preach to your soul. And I just let out this loud audible yell, like, like everything I'd been holding in this whole time, I finally let it out that night. And it was just like, I had to cry, and I had to be angry. I had to do everything all in one. But I got my release. And it wasn't until then, when me and my wife started getting back like this, that's when everything started that's when everything started turning around. That's why you'll hear me every now and then. You'll hear me throw a Bible scripture and say, I'll be talking about anything. And I'll be like, oh, here goes scripture for this. And God turned Job's captivity around after he prayed for his friends. If you were familiar with the story of Job, you'll know why. Job was on the brink of death, but everything started going good for him when he stopped feeling sorry for himself. And he started thinking about other people, when I stop thinking like me, why isn't anybody caring about me? Why doesn't anybody ask to talk? How's Trevor doing? Why is nobody doing this? Why is nobody doing this? Or thinking about like, hell, my wife is over there suffering. Why don't I try being a husband and consoling her? And that's when everything started turning around. So then that's when they took the feeding tube out and everything like that. She wasn't on oxygen anymore. She was maintaining everything on her own. But you gotta remember, still at the time, I mean, they were being real pushing it when they said that she was 5 pounds, because you had to be 5 pounds to be released. I mean, they were pushing it because she was like nothing. I think my cup weighed more than what she did. So I did the call one morning. I called to see what was going on, doing my regular call. And the nurse at the time, Richard, I never forget. Richard was like, oh yeah, she's doing real good. We just did the car seat test. And I'm like, whoa. Like, whoa, what do you mean we just did the car seat test? The car seat test is something that they always do when they're planning on releasing the baby. We'd never thought about the release date. We've been coming to this thing. We've been coming here this whole time, and things started getting better. So we start getting comfortable with coming to the hospital. But now parenthood is about to start. We're not going to have the doctors to help us anymore. Now we have to do it. And we, so I was like, wait, what are you talking about? They was like, yeah, we're thinking about releasing her. We'll talk to you guys more tonight. So I remember I went on break. It was like 10 o'clock that morning. And I called my wife and I'm like, listen, this is what they're planning on doing. And you could just hear the silence. Because we're just like, man, it's finally about to happen. So we went to the hospital that night and they gave us a release date. They said that, hey, she's going home this time. And it was like, here's another thing about me. Because I have there's a perception going around on YouTube about me that I hate black men. First they say I hate black women, which is stupid, but then they say I hate black men. No, I hate this is why I hate black men that do stupid shit. The one way you could pretty much do anything outside of mess with a kid. And I'll probably be like, damn, bro, I give you a little bit of grace. But I have zero tolerance. I have zero respect for a man that doesn't take care of his kids. Because when I think about the hell that me and my wife had to go through for 77 days, and you got some guys out here that's freely making babies, and they don't want to have a damn thing to do with them. The Bible calls you worse than an infidel. You're worse than an infidel. You're a piece of garbage. I have no respect for a man that doesn't take care of his kids. That's why I am the way that I am. I have zero tolerance. When you hear me say something like, I have no respect for black men that don't take care of their babies, that's what I'm talking about. Because under no circumstance should you be making kids and then leaving them out there to fend for themselves. They didn't ask to be here. And when I think about everything that we had to deal with, and I'm sitting there, I'm looking at my daughter's looking back at me, knowing that I'm her only life support. She's just like, how the hell could I decide to turn my back on something like that? How, like, seriously, how could I turn my back on something that I helped bring into this world. So that's why I have no respect for you. You guys are niggers. You all are niggers. You are niggers that don't take care of your kids. So eat on that. Quote that. So that, I just got it's annoying, man. It's ridiculous. It's annoying, man. So the day comes and I'm just thinking in my mind, like, man, something's gonna mess up here. Cause it's like every time we get to that point, something always goes bad. And I just I never forget that day, man, when we went to go pick her up. There's no manual to being a parent. We didn't know what to do. Nobody told us. People try to tell you what you should do, but everybody's situation is different. No one could prepare you for what it is to take care of a premature child that you now have to handle with like the utmost care. You know what I mean? Because she's the littlest one in the room. You know what I mean? So it's just like, oh man. So we're walking out of the NICU and we're just taking that long walk. We're taking that long walk, and all I keep hearing in my mind is my peace, is my grace is sufficient for you. My grace is sufficient for you. My grace is sufficient for you. And I'm just thinking in my mind, like, man, I said, God, you are real. You are real. Not because I read about you. Not because I've been preaching about you for 25 years. Not because somebody told me about you. But because I finally got to experience your miracle working power. And I call myself the ghetto preacher, man, because y'all know I cuss a lot, man, but I believe in the Most High God, man. Like you can't make me think that there's not a God. You can't. I may not believe in the way I've been taught, but you can't make me think that there isn't one. And we're just walking down the aisle, and all I hear in my head is, my grace is sufficient for you. My grace is sufficient for you. Because, man, there were so many times, man, where my wife, she can speak for herself, but I wanted to call it quits, man. Like I was serious. I wanted to be just done, just out of total selfishness. I just wanted to be done. And like I say, you know the done that I mean. Like I just it was just too much pain. So we get my daughter out. My EVP handed me a note. All right, hold on, Michael. I gotta finish getting through my story. So we so that week when we got her out, you know, we had to take her to all her specialists and stuff like that. I mean, we were going to specialists that whole week. Just so happened I had took that week off. I had my week off right after she came out. So we were going to specialists every week. And and just such a blessing, man. My daughter came home, and it was two things. My daughter came home, and it was Father's Day. I want to say it was Father's Day that Sunday. It was Father's Day that because she got out on the weekend. So the following week was Father's Day. So how great of a gift to me that my baby is home on Father's Day. And I never forget, like I preached that message that Sunday. I brought the Father's Day message that Sunday. And I remember I remember saying that in my closing, that when we felt like, you always hear about the three Hebrew boys, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. You always hear about them and how they were in the fire and they were, they were burning and everything. And I liken the fire that they were dealing with to the fire that we were dealing with in our life. So I felt like we were the three that were me, my wife, and my daughter were the three that was in the fiery furnace. And every time something seemed better, they just kept throwing more coals on, kept throwing more coals on, kept throwing more coals on. But if you're familiar with that story, you know how it ends. It ends with the king looking in the fire and he was like, well, wait a minute. I thought we threw 3 of them in. How come I see another one likened to the Son of God in there? And I remember telling that, and I remember telling the church that day, I said, you know what? You got another man in that fire with you. And I just believe that the Most High is always looking after us. And he was looking after my family. He continues to look after my family. And like, it's just, I mean, there's no, there's nothing like you can't make me doubt the existence of God, man. So we started going to all these specialists, and remember, as the time went on, you remember when my daughter, they told her that her eye socket didn't grow out all the way and everything like that. Well, when she went back to her exam, the doctor was like, oh no, looks good here. Nothing to see here. See you next year. The same heart murmur that the cardiologist said that she had when we went to go see that cardiologist again. The cardiologist told us, she was like, man, this is strange. And we're like, what's going on? Here you go, preparing for that bad news again. She was like, no, she was like, she said, this is strange. I don't understand. It's not there anymore. It's gone. Like, we don't see. And she's showing us, she's like, this is what we saw. This is what we saw. This is what we told you we saw. But we looking right here and it's not there anymore. And then remember, I told y'all earlier that they said that my daughter has a missing piece of her brain. Well, let's just put it this way. If anybody knows my daughter personally, my daughter got to be one of the little smartest little things you ever seen. No developmental delays at all. None. She'll read you from here to tomorrow. I mean, it's this little baby that was so tiny and just couldn't, I used to be so afraid to hold her. Now she's a solid 95 pounds, man. And we just celebrated her 8th birthday, man. And I'm just like, I'm ecstatic, man. And the reason, like I said, the reason why I wanted to do this show, because if somebody's going to listen to this and somebody's going to listen to this and somebody's going to be like, damn, boy, I'm going through this, or I want to, you help me through this. True story. We, where I work, we hired cleaning companies. And for whatever reason, I just start talking to the guy. I was in my office. He was cleaning my office. And I just started talking to him because he just seemed like he was down. And I asked him, like, what's going on, bro? And then he was like, he's like, man, I'm just dealing with the baby. This baby issue stressing me out. I'm like, oh, man, good. What a blessing you having a baby. He's like, nah, they were born early, like 24 weeks. And this girl, they're a young couple, just got married and they're stressing out. And it was my time to minister to him. It was my time to talk to him. It was my time to say, hey, let me tell you a story real quick. Let me tell you a story about somebody that wanted to give up because they were in the same situation. And it was so funny because he brought his girl up there the next day. She had no business being on our property, but I let her come on there. But he brought her up there the next day just so she could talk to me, just so she could, because he's young, he didn't know what to do, just so she could talk to me, so she could hear. All she needed was somebody to tell her that it's going to get better. And that's why I'm doing this. It things work itself out, man. I mean, everybody know, and I'm honest enough to say everybody doesn't have a happy ending. Everybody's story doesn't end like ours. Some kids have developmental issues. Hell, my daughter still had some issues up until a few years ago. But certain things have a way of working itself out, and that's what the Straight Talk Society is about. You get whatever we're dealing with. I mean, we have our sports shows. We have, whatever we're dealing with is an opportunity to heal, is an opportunity to come together and say, hey, let's figure out a way to navigate through this together. I don't allow the foolishness. I can't. That foolishness, that stuff bothers me. I can't be involved in that stuff anymore. But this is a way to come out and heal and say, hey, it's some hurting people out there. You've been through something. Hey, why don't you tell somebody about it to help people out? The one thing I hate the most is people that have information about how to do things, and they always want to try to hoard it. They don't want to tell you. They don't want to help anybody out. Well, when you got people hurting, you got people dying. In my case, you got men that want to just don't be here anymore. Sometimes all you want to hear is like, hey, it's gonna be all right. All you need is a hug. It's just like when I said, was it when me and my wife did the show Friday night. I said it wasn't until I was getting married where my dad kissed me on the forehead and told me how proud he was of me. And at that moment is when I reverted back to being a little boy and felt like I could have ran through the wall and everything was going to be all right because my dad finally affirmed me. Sometimes all we need is that little nudge like, hey, it's going to be all right, man. Things going to be all right. So that was a condensed version. Like I say, Nene dropped the link to the actual show. It's called 77 Days, the podcast version. She dropped it in the chat. So if you guys get a chance, you could go check it out. To those of you listening on the Straight Talk Society on Facebook, I appreciate it. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Hold on. Michael wanted to come on. All right, Michael, don't come on here with the craziness. Tomorrow night, first episode of Wrestling with Reality at 8 p.m. We will be doing a preview show to WrestleMania 39, which is coming on this weekend. We'll be doing that preview show. So that's tomorrow night. Let me drop this. That's tomorrow night at 8:00. Don't miss it, man. Let your friends know. Straight Talk Society. Everybody's welcome over here. All I say is just don't come over here with the drama. Don't bring any drama from anybody else's platform because I'll kick you off. And I'm not interested in pulling from the same pool of people that everybody pulls from. I'd be okay if we get a whole new audience over here. A whole new audience that's not with the bullshit. Let's build over here. That's what we do. Let's build. Let's make stuff grow. Like I say, the only time you'll see my face will be over here on the Straight Talk Society unless I am debating on SVDL. I'm a debater on Solar Vision Debate League. As a matter of fact, I have a debate coming up. This might be the most toxic debate on the internet in the month of April, but I have a debate coming up April 15th against a brother named Madan Komet. Against a brother named Madan Komet. I need to try to get him to come over here so we could chop it up. But the name of that debate is, are black men in a position to correct black women? Listen, y'all go over to Solar Vision Debate League right now and listen to his interview, and you'll see why I'm debating him on this. That brother is funny, And I think that this debate is probably going to be the most toxic of the season. Because one thing about me, I'm gonna bring the entertainment and I'm gonna get at them. So I look forward to that, man. That's April 15th. And then right after that, I mean, like a week or so after that, I got a debate set up against Out the Blue. He just dropped a dope ass song yesterday. Just check his page out. Investing Out the Blue. I got a debate against him. Would our community be better off under a matriarchal or patriarchal society? So seems like I'm taking a lot of them type of debates, huh? I don't know. Maybe I am Captain Manosphere. Who knows? But anyway, man, listen, I appreciate y'all for rocking out with me. Don't forget this Sunday, Pour Your Heart Out. Listen, WrestleMania is coming on, but I'm going to be listening. I'm going to be tuned into that. That Pour Your Heart Out, that panel, those women have been chomping at the bit. They are going to let loose like nobody's business, and it is going to be crazy. So that's at 8:00, I think. Anyway, we made the premiere button for it. So you just subscribe to the channel, hit that notification button so you'll be updated. We have that coming up. Like I say, tomorrow is Wrestling with Reality. Dr. Mia and Michael will be back. We got a couple of shows we got to knock out. You're definitely going to want to listen to She Can't Wear That, because Michael going to go full Michael. And Dr. Mia gonna, she probably might have to just scream at us for that one, but yeah, it's gonna be a good time, man. Straight talk. We're not gonna be limited to just the same old mundane ass talking points. Whatever you want to talk about is welcome over here. You know, you want to chop it up with something, hit me up, let me know, like, and I'll make a show for you. You know what I mean? So with all that being said, man, I thank you guys for rocking out with me, man. We got pretty high in the numbers tonight. Yeah, if you see me looking off to the side, it's because I got a bigger screen right here because I can't read. Like, my eyesight is, for whatever reason, going crazy. So I have like a big monitor right here, mimicking my computer screen so I could read the chat and everything. That's why you see me looking off to the side. So it's Sunday, April 2nd at 8 p.m. Pour Your Heart Out. And they're going to be talking about toxic relationships. Speaking about toxic, yeah, y'all tune into that, because if the open panel that we did a few weeks ago was any indication of what they're going to be bringing, oh man, just tune in. It's going to be lit. It's going to be lit. It's going to be lit. But like I say, man, I appreciate you guys for coming out. I did want to keep it to about an hour. So thank you guys. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Tequila. Thank you, Deacon. Thank you, Twin. Thank you to Angel for popping by. To those of you watching in the clouds, if you don't want to comment, make sure and please hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Like us on Facebook at the Straight Talk Society. Let's get the word out. Let's grow the society. I ain't got no other taglines for you, but as always, in my closings, I'll leave you with these words. Always seek out the truth for yourself, because if not, you'll fall victim to other people's interpretations of them. And with that, before I go, I want y'all to rock out to this song by my boy, the legend, the silent assassin. I found out about this song yesterday. This is going to be my new anthem. This song is a banger. Until tomorrow night, Wrestling with Reality. Peace.
Have you ever danced with the devil? Took a glance at a rebel, had a chance to advance. You are not on my level. You are not my equal. I can pose another sequel. those that do oppose, I will expose and leave you see through with the spines in my eye. Recognize me as a legend, refuse to cry or die so I may never get to heaven. I've been yelling and rebelling since the days I was a youngin'. Been a long time coming, I'll be damned if I'm running. Original individual, so I'm living like a criminal. Give it to you fools direct, no need to be subliminal. Say a nigga name quick but never to be famous. Put this thing up to your brain and I'll leave you brainless. Got you suckers, ducking knuckles, watch you buckle as I chuckle. I can see right through your heart, you don't wanna start no trouble. Thought I couldn't get it crunk, well hell I beg to differ. I'm far from a punk and ain't your ordinary nigga. Fake niggas, I'm back, the game about to change. I ain't playing games, I'ma put it in your brains. Fake niggas, I'm back, the game about to change. I ain't playing games, I'ma put it in your veins. I'ma break them all, let me break them all, I don't care if you ain't scared, be prepared to take a loss. I'ma break them all, let me break them all, I don't care if you ain't scared, be prepared to take a loss. I can see me leading the legion, screaming in the evening. I had the kids pleading, why is daddy not breathing? See, daddy was a heathen, daddy was deceiving. Told him last season, all I'm needing is a reason. I have no sympathy, consider me a lethal weapon. Remain a mystery consistently, I keep them guessing. With the world on my shoulder, my heart turns colder. Life ain't what you think, before you blink it could be over. Ready for revolution, retribution's a solution. There is no forgiveness as you witness evolution. The world revolves as I evolve, take a stroll through my soul. I don't plan to ever pause or take it easy on my foes. Break them off with a pencil in a simple instrumental. Situation detrimental if you disrespect my mental. This is how I really live, I hope I never have to kill. I represent self-defense, if I have to then I will. Niggas, I'm back, the game about to change. I ain't playing games, I'ma put it in your brains. Fake niggas, I'm back, the game about to change. I ain't playing games, I'ma put it in your veins. I'ma break them all, let me break them all, I don't care if you ain't scared, be prepared to take a loss. I'ma break them all, let me break them all, I don't care if you ain't scared, be prepared to take a loss. I don't wanna beef with anybody, but I'm far from afraid. I'm a grown ass man, ain't no games being played. Better shut the friggin' mouth before I kick up in your house. Forensics at your residence, no evidence to figure out. Wasn't seen, had to see, no if or ands or in between. This is what I do to you or anyone who intervenes. I refuse to be a prey, not tomorrow, not today. I'ma be a predator, hell there is no other way. Bust your brain if I must, leave you laying in the dust. Only God understands, that's the only man I trust. The rest of y'all die slow, die with your eyes closed. Talk behind my back but you can't look me in my eyes though. That's what you call a coward. You can find me down in Broward. Tell me where you want it at, I'll be there in a half an hour. Diamond chains, take them off. Haters, I'ma shake them off. I only deal with the real, all of the rest I break them off. Niggas, I'm back, the game about to change. I ain't playing games, I'ma put it in your brains. Fake niggas, I'm back, the game about to change. I ain't playing games, I'ma put it in your face. I'ma break them all, let me break them all, I don't care if you ain't scared, be prepared to take a loss. I'ma break them all, let me break them all, I don't care if you ain't scared, be prepared to take a loss. But it's a must, you gon' respect this. Plus your nuts will touch the dust, you try to check this. You ain't insane, I write your name down on my checklist. You think I'm playing, I leave you laying, I leave you breathless. I'm not a heathen, please believe I'm breathing for a reason. Until I'm bleeding, really feeling this world is so misleading. Sacrifice your life at night while facing certain sorrow. Your existence is at stake, you might not make tomorrow. Lost my heart when I was crossed, don't wanna make amends. Much too smart, my afterthought, don't wanna make no friends. If you're a fraud, then it's so hard to get a second chance. You could die in front of my eyes, won't get a second glance. As human beings instead of being so many try to be. You ain't seen what I have seen in my society. So F the killers, F the dealers, F the police. Middle finger in the sky till I die, no peace. Middle finger to the world. Every man, every woman, every boy, every girl.
Always seek out the truth for yourself.